Reviewing NHL games of November 13th, 2018. We had 9 games on tonight. This is the first board. Let's get to it. Washington Capitals beat the Minnesota Wild 5-2. Side note, this was Tom Wilson's first game back. If you remember, he was suspended in the preseason on September 30th. He was given a 20-game suspension by the league of regular season games. But after it went through an arbitrator not long ago, it was brought down to 14. But what do you say? Washington's already played 16 games? Yeah, well, the team in the NHL PA might be a little bit mad about that. More on that on my news and notes video that came out earlier on the 13th. Anyways, Washington starts the score, starts the game by with Orlov getting his first of the season, assisted by Eller and Burakovsky. They then go up 2 goals. Wilson gets his first goal of the season, his first game back, assisted by Orlov and Kuznetsov. There you go. Orlov gets a second point of the night already. And we head into the second period. Burakovsky makes it 3-0, gets his second goal of the season, assisted by Eller, who gets his second point of the night, and Connolly. A lot of guys, a lot of depth scorers getting on the board here for Washington, which is good news. Minnesota then answers back. Koivu scores a goal unassisted, and then we go into the third period. And then Washington just keeps on rolling here. Orlov gets his second goal of the night, assisted by Ovechkin and Niskanen. And then it's now 5-1 for Washington. Oshie gets his 9th of the season, assisted by Backstrom and Vrana. But before the game ends, Minnesota makes it somewhat respectable. Dumba pots his 6th of the season. He's doing well this year. On the power play, assisted by Koivu, who gets a second point of the night, and Foligno. Washington was 0-2 on the power play. Minnesota was 1-6. And you got to take advantage of those all those penalties Washington had. Wilson also happened to have a fight tonight, so he's just short of the Gordie Howe hat trick because he didn't have an assist. But in any case, Copley, the backup, was in net for Washington tonight. He saved 26-28. Minnesota also didn't take advantage of that fact. And Dubnyk was in net for the loss. He made 28 of 33. Saved 28. Made 28 saves on 33 shots. Okay, English. Capitals went 8-6-3. They now have 19 points on the season. The Wild are now 11-5-2 with 24. They're still very respectful. Near the top of the league. I want to say they're second in the league now with points. Yeah. Next game we have Detroit Red Wings beat the Arizona Coyotes 6-1. I didn't stutter. What? Detroit, who's near the bottom of the league, but have been on a win streak lately. And then Arizona, who goes very hot and cold. How does that happen? In any case, let's get to it. In the first period, Detroit opens the scoring. It's all Detroit, in fact. They score 3 goals in the first, starting with Mantha, who gets his 6th of the season, assisted by Nielsen and Green. Chalowski, that's a great hockey name. Scores his 3rd of the season, assisted by DeKaiser and Bertuzzi. And in the third, to make it 3-0, Rasmussen pots his 3rd of the year on the power play, assisted by Larkin and Green, who gets his 2nd point of the night, 2nd assist. Second period, more Detroit. Glendening gets his 2nd of the year, assisted by Abdicator and Jensen. It's now 4-0 Detroit. And in the third period, Anastou opens the scoring, gets his 7th of the season, assisted by Helm. Makes it 5-0. And then 6-0. Green scores his first goal of the season, gets his 3rd point of the night. I think this is his first game back after injury. I might be mistaken, maybe it's his 2nd, but I think it is his first game back. Maybe his 2nd. Anyways, it was assisted by Anastou and Nielsen, who both got their 2nd points of the night as well. And then Arizona spoils the shutout. For Howard, Kraus gets his third goal of the season, assisted by Hinestroza, my favorite name to pronounce in hockey, and Strome. And I believe that's the third line there, if I'm not mistaken, for Phoenix. Detroit goes 1 for 4 in the power play. Arizona goes 0 for 5. Tocchet's got to look at that special teams, huh? Howard's saves 24 of 25. Kemper, 12 of 17. I didn't watch this game at all. I'm thinking maybe Kemper came in relief, but I mean Kemper hasn't been doing well the last couple of games, and they could really use Ranta back. In any case, next game. Before I get over there, let's just talk about the records. Detroit is now 8-2 with 18 points. All of a sudden, yeah. I mean, I picked them to finish last in the league, but LA's going to give them a run for their money there. Arizona is now 8-1 with 17 points. And, so next game up, Buffalo Sabres beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, 2-1. Yeah, weird night, huh? So, Skinner from Buffalo gets on the board, gets his 13th of the season. He's just ranking up the goals right now, assisted by Reinhart and Bellew. 1-0 Buffalo going into the second, where Okposo makes it 2-0. His 5th of the year. He's been working hard all season long. Assisted by Sherry and Bellew, who gets his 2nd assist of the night. Tampa Bay does answer back in that period. Cirelli gets his 3rd of the season, assisted by Killhorn and Gord. There are no goals in the 3rd. Buffalo went 0 for 1 on the power play. Tampa went 0 for 1. Doesn't seem like an exciting game, huh? But Hutton made 28, saved 28 on 30 shots. Dominique, 17 on 19. Buffalo only had 19 shots on that. Dominique, although it's only a 2-1 game, you think his team would help support him with some goals. I believe that's his 2nd or maybe even 3rd loss in a row. Buffalo's now 10-6-2, respectively, with 22 points. What? Again, Buffalo has been surprising people. I knew, analysts thought they would do better this year, but so far it's better than most thought, including myself. Tampa Bay is now 12-5-1 with 25 points. I think Tampa Bay is obviously 2nd in the league right now, behind the Predators, obviously, who are in 1st. So that would make Minnesota 3rd. Oopsie. On to the next game. Florida Panthers beat the Philadelphia Flyers 2-1. Both teams, I think especially Florida, though, needed this game badly. Flyers are such a roller coaster team so far this year, and Florida, after getting Luongo back, are trying to dig out of a hole that they sank into during his absence. In the first period, no one scores any goals. In the second period, Florida gets on the board. Defenseman Ekblad gets his first of the season on the power play, assisted by Vetrano and Hoffman. And then Florida makes it 2-0. Dadonov on a beauty. You should watch this goal if you can find it on social media. Gets his 8th of the season, assisted by Barkov. In the third, Philly makes it 2-1. Voracek gets his 5th of the season, assisted by Lindblom and Couturier. And that's the game. Florida went 1 for 3 on the power play. Philly went 0 for 1. And Luongo made 30 saves on 31 shots. Again, Luongo. This team goes as Luongo goes. Elliott made 28 saves on 30 shots. That's pretty decent stats. I mean, the game was 2-1. Elliott's been looking really good of the past week or so lately as well. Florida's now 7-5-3 with 17 points. They're climbing back up that point chart. Philly's now 9-8-1 with 19. Yeah, Philly fans are just like, going, what's going on? Just win or something. Strike, maybe 2, maybe even 3 wins in a row together. That would be nice. Yeah. In any case, next game, New York Islanders beat the Vancouver Canucks 5-2. Vancouver actually opens the scoring. Leipzig used to play for the Golden Knights last season, and before that was the Toronto Maple Leafs, or more like the Toronto Marlies. But in any case, it's assisted by Horvat and Del Sato. That's when the Islanders take over. Kuhnhackl gets his second of the season, assisted by Komarov and Filippa. They go ahead 2-1 on a goal from Bailey, his sixth of the season, assisted by Barzal. Then they go ahead 3-1 on a goal scored by Eberle, his fifth of the season, assisted by Nelson and Ladd. The scoring seems to be pretty spread apart among the players so far. In the second period, Vancouver makes it 3-2 to make the game close. By the way, I digress for a second. I believe two of these goals, these two right here, New York Islanders' second and third goal were scored like within 40 seconds or something. In any case, back to the second period, Vancouver Virtanen gets his eighth goal of the season on the power play. He's starting to prove a lot of people wrong, including myself. Again, I've said this a million times so far this season, and we'll see if he can keep this up. Assisted by Eriksson and Leipzig, who gets his second point of the game. Then we move on to the third, where the Islanders just put it away. Kuhnhackl scores his second of the game, third of the season, assisted by Eberle and Nelson, who get their second points of the game. And then Clutterbuck. Not only does he get his first goal of the season, I mean, this is a fourth-line player, but it's on the power play. Did he accidentally get on the ice somehow? What? Yeah. Assisted by Barzal and Boychuk. Barzal gets just his second point of the night. So the Islanders go 1 for 4 on the power play. Vancouver goes 1 for 5. They got to look at that special teams. Greiss was in net for the Islanders. He saved 22 of 24. Markstrom saved 29 of 34. The Islanders are now 9-6-2 with 20 points. Again, another one of those surprising teams. Lou and Barry Trotz have been doing a good job with them so far. Vancouver's now 10-8-2 with 22 points. Both teams who have been surprising a lot of people this season. Next up, New Jersey Devils win 4-2 over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins continue to slide. What's going to give in Pittsburgh? Rutherford's threatening to make trades, and in any case, Jersey opens the scoring with a goal by Zajac, his seventh of the season, assisted by Hull and Severson. This is the first game, by the way, Jersey has played without Brian Boyle, who was injured in the game on Sunday against Winnipeg from a Dustin Byfuglien hit. Let's move on, though. Pittsburgh then answers back on the power play on their probably one of the best in the league, with Kessel, who gets his eighth, and assisted by Crosby and Malkin. The usual suspects there. In the second period, New Jersey goes ahead 2-1. Severson gets his third of the season, his second point of the game, assisted by Hull, and who gets his second point of the game as well, and Bratt. And then third period opens up. Pittsburgh ties it up again. Gensel gets his sixth of the season, assisted by Crosby and Kessel, who get their second points of the night. And then New Jersey goes ahead 3-1. Hull gets his fourth goal of the season. He's starting off slow in terms of goal scoring this year, a little bit, huh? Assisted by Zajac, who gets the second point of the night, and Palmieri, who seems to have cooled off a little bit of lately as well. Then Jersey goes ahead 4-2, which I think might be an empty net goal. Maybe I'm mistaken on that. But Hull gets his second goal of the game, speaking of slow starts, and assisted by Nelson, yeah. Jersey goes 0 for 1 on the power play, only had one chance, and Pittsburgh goes 1 for 3. Kincaid was back in net today after Schneider had the last game, and he saved 29 to 31. DeSmith, Pittsburgh's backup, saved 31 to 34 shots. Devils are now 7-8-1 with 15 points. They kind of really needed this game because they've been on a little bit of a slide lately. And Pittsburgh is now 7-6-3 with 17 points. Check the news every day because Rutherford might be doing something. I'm going to just switch over to the second board for the last 3 games of the night. Okay, here we are. The second board. Welcome. Edmonton. Edmonton Oilers beat the Montreal Canadiens 6-2. Now this started off as a really back and forth game. The whole thing was pretty exciting until Edmonton blew it open. But this looked like to be a hot game from the start, minus maybe the San Jose and Nashville game, which we'll get to. In any case, Edmonton starts scoring. Benning gets his first of the year, assisted by McDavid and Draisaitl. Yep. McClellan, in a desperate attempt to string together some wins, just says, you know what, let's just start them together. Fans want them there. The players want to play together. Let's just put them there. So they started them on the same line. Montreal makes it 1-1. Domi, who's been hot, gets his 10th of the season, assisted by Shaw and Juleson. Edmonton then goes ahead 2-1 on a goal from Draisaitl, who gets his 11th of the year, assisted by McDavid, both of whom get their second points of the night. In the second period, Montreal ties it up again. Shaw gets his 5th of the season, assisted by Drouin and Petrie. Edmonton goes ahead again on a goal from Kagulia? Yeah. His 6th of the season, assisted by Chasson. Yeah. And Benning, who gets his second point of the night. And then third period, boom, 3 goals. Edmonton runs over Montreal. Starting off with Nugent Hopkins' goal, his 4th of the season, assisted by Strome and Russell. It's now 4. Yeah, it's now 4-2. Then Edmonton's Russell scores again for Edmonton. He gets his second point of the night. His first goal of the season, assisted by Gravel and Kyra, if I'm saying that correctly. And then Edmonton pots in their sixth goal. Nurse gets a second of the season, assisted by McDavid and Draisaitl, who now get their third points of the night each. Edmonton goes 0 for 3 on the power play. And Montreal does so as well. Koskinen was playing for Edmonton in this one. He saved 27-29. Niemi saved 37-43. Apparently, Claude Julien has been decided to sit. Decided to sit Carey Price for a couple of games to get him mentally back in the game. Trying to think of another word, but metaphor, whatever. Anyways, okay. Edmonton is now 9-8-1 with 19 points. Montreal's 9-6-3 with 23. It's no secret that McClellan's job might be in jeopardy. I mean, so is the general manager's, Chiarelli's, but Edmonton is another one of those teams like Philly who were on such a bit of a roller coaster ride back and forth. So next game up, Toronto spanks LA 5-1. Isn't everyone spanking LA though? I don't think that was a surprise to anyone. I mean, this could have been a trap game. You never know. Sometimes Toronto can lose those ones they're expected to win, but. Kadri gets his 6th of the season on a power play, assisted by Marner and Tavares to start the game off. And Toronto's just all over LA. I think it took LA 3/4 of the way into the first period just to get a shot on net. Toronto then goes ahead 2-0 on a goal from Tavares, who gets his second point of the night, his 11th goal of the year on another power play, assisted by Riley. Riley then ties for the league lead in defensemen in points with that assist. LA then scores on a goal from in the ending of the third period. They kind of woke up a bit. Kempe got his second of the season, assisted by Phaneuf. At first, they thought it might have been the goal might have been scored by Phaneuf, and apparently he hasn't scored a goal since last February or something like 30-something games. And I was like, figures, a former Maple Leaf and a former Maple Leaf captain has to score against Toronto, and probably the only goals they get tonight. But no, they saw that Kempe tipped it, and it was a shot from from the point. In any case, moving on to the second period, Toronto steamrolls that one. Riley gets a goal. Yeah, and his second point of the night for 8 goals on the season, assisted by Tavares, who gets his third point of the night. But this goal by Riley puts him 1 point ahead into the lead for the most points by a defenseman in the league at this point. He's having an amazing season. He's jumping up into the play always at the right time. He's really come, and I think he's just going to get better as the years move on from here on out. I don't think this is he may not be on a tear like this point-wise the entire season, but I think when it comes to having 60-point seasons, I think Riley's going to be consistent from now on, because he had a 62 or 63-point season last year, and he's probably going to blow that one out of the water this year. Leafs then score again. They make it 4-1. Janssen, who plays on the third line with the Leafs, gets his second of the year, his second goal in, I want to say, the last 2 or 3 games. So he seems to be waking up and playing better as well. He was I believe he in the AHL playoffs. He won the Calder Cup with the Toronto Marlies, but I believe he was he won the player of the playoffs because he had the most points of any other player in the play. Yeah, in any case, so Leafs have expected a lot more of him. He started off the season really slow, and it seems he's starting to get going now. So look out for him, what he might be doing in the games following. But his goal is assisted by Dermott and Lindholm. And then the Leafs go ahead 5-1. In their last goal, Kadri gets his second goal of the game. His 7th goal of the season on the power play. Another power play goal. Toronto's 3rd power play goal of the game. Assisted by Marleau and Marner. Now this is interesting because Marner drew the penalty on this power play, but it was an errant stick to the face, and his mouth was just bloodied. It was just blood was just gushing out of his mouth, and so he goes to the bench, and they just kind of swab him up, and he doesn't even get off the ice. He goes back and gets on the power play and gets the helper on this. Tough kid, man. And yeah, another multi-point night for him. In the third period, no goals. Maybe Toronto shows a little mercy. I don't mean to be mean to LA fans, but it's not going to be a good year. It's like LA might have, I think, are now dead last in the league, or have been for a bit now, and it's lose for Hughes time, it looks like. Toronto was 3 for 5 in the power play. LA was 0 for 2. Power play seems to be one of the only things that LA isn't bad at this season so far, but nothing happened. Toronto's penalty kill was pretty decent. So Anderson made 22 saves and 23 shots. Budaj, why did I put an I there? I know it's pronounced that way, but it's actually spelled with a J. Yeah. Budaj made 15 saves on only 19 shots. Now he was pulled in I want to say around the third goal, and the AHL goalie came into that. I wrote about him I spoke about him in my NHL News and Notes segment that I had earlier on today. They recalled him from the AHL, and his numbers weren't that good there either, but I think it's more of because the team stinks down there as well. And this is because LA's original backup, Campbell, got injured with a torn meniscus. The same injury that Jonathan Quick went down from So both of those guys are out. LA's top two goalies are out with torn meniscuses. So far. So, LA just looks really vulnerable right now, especially with their top two goalies out. Moving on to the final game of the evening. Did I go over the points? Toronto's now 12-6-0 with 24 points, and LA's now 5-11-1 with 11. Yeah. San Jose Sharks beat the Nashville Predators 5-4. Now, this is Nashville's second loss in a row, and their second road loss in a row, too. And before that, Nashville had not lost a game on the road. They've been the road warriors of the league right now. I'm looking at my points total here, and this has got to be wrong, right? I thought Nashville was leading the league in points, but I can see that this is not correct. This can't be. It must be a typo. Any case, I'll look that up while I'm talking about the scores here. So San Jose looks like a cakewalk right off in the first period. Sorensen gets his third of the season unassisted. And I'm not sure how long this kid has been playing for. I believe he's playing on the third line with Thornton, but he looked really good tonight. His passing, his shooting. It feels like he just started playing like 5 games ago. Otherwise, he would have had more points. But I'll have to check that out later. You can take a look and make a comment on the box below and let me know. In any case, Pavelski makes it 2-0 for San Jose, and scoring his 9th of the season on the power play, assisted by Carlson and Hurdle. Yay! Carlson gets a point. They almost thought he scored this one. Because but they found out it was tipped by Pavelski, and I think everyone was hoping Carlson, because he hasn't had a goal so far this season. San Jose then goes ahead 3-0. Sumela gets his third this season on another unassisted goal of the night, and we enter to the wild and crazy second period. I'm just looking up the point totals for Nashville right now. I swear they were in first. Where are they? Nashville. There we are. Okay, yeah, I did reverse those. I did reverse these. These are wrong. Sorry. These should be flipped. But if you notice that, anyways, I'll get to that again in a second. So I digress. Into the second period. Nashville comes alive. With San Jose just sitting back, thinking this is going to be a cakewalk against Nashville. I know you're ahead 3-0, but you can never rest on these guys. Smith gets his 5th of the season, makes it 3-1, assisted by Johansson and Forsberg. Forsberg becomes a force. This first line just does it all from this point on, because Forsberg then makes it 3-2. And gets his 11th of the year unassisted. Then he scores again, gets his second goal of the night, his third point of the evening, assisted by Smith, who gets his second point of the night as well. So that first line just took over in the second period. And then the third started that way as well. In fact, Nashville goes ahead. All of a sudden, San Jose coughs up a 3-0 lead, and now they're losing 4-3. In the third. Grimaldi gets his first of the season. I want to say that's the third line, assisted by Fiala and Irwin. And then I guess the boys on the bench looked at each other and said, "Okay, we're not. This is embarrassing. Let's do something about this." So Pavelski gets his second goal of the evening. His 10th of the season, assisted by Sorensen. Remember that name I mentioned a little bit earlier? Who gets a second point of the night, assisted by Burns as well. Then Thornton scores a beauty of a goal with a beauty of a pass, mind you, from, Sorensen and Braun. You got to watch that goal. That goal was important for a lot of reasons because not only did it put them ahead for the rest of the evening and the rest of the game, but that was a milestone. That was Joe Thornton's 400th goal. And he's now entered a couple of elite different clubs. He's now one of 10 players to have 400 goals and 1,000 assists. And the other players here are in that group are Wayne Gretzky, Jaromir Jagr, Mark Messier, Gordie Howe, Ron Francis, Marcel Dion, Steve Yzerman, Mario Lemieux, Joe Sakic, and Ray Bourque. Now, the second group that he became, which is even smaller, there's only 7 players in it. This is a good trivia question. He became one of only 7 players ever to have 400 goals and 1,000 assists and play 1,500 games. Now, I believe, for the most part, it's 3 players who came off that list. So, I'm going to find out, because I don't have it in front of me right now, I'm going to find out who's part of that 7. But I know one player who's definitely not on that list, who's there now, and who you'll probably get wrong. So if you see this in time, make a list before you see tomorrow's news and notes video of the 14th, and see if you can guess that without looking it up on Google. Because they were interviewing Thornton after the game, shirtless Joe, as he always does interviews in the locker room afterwards. And they asked him who was on that group of 7 list, and the first player out of his mouth was one. It was would be the first player out of most people's mouths, but he was wrong. That's a little Easter egg for you on who it might be, but he was wrong about it, and he's like, really? Yeah, he hadn't played 1,500 games. He had, scored 400 goals and 1,000 assists, but he hadn't played 1,500 games. So you probably might have guessed by now who that might be. But in any case, let's move on. San Jose is 1 for 5 on the power play. Nashville 0 for 3. Be interesting to see what Nashville's overall power play stats are like right now. Jones makes 30 saves on 34 shots. One amazing one in the third. You know the one I'm talking about because you'll see it on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. He makes a beauty save. It just hits the edge of his glove he goes laterally from side to side. It's just gorgeous. He played really well. Saros, who was playing for Nashville, made 32 saves on 37 shots. Ooh, water burp. Excuse me. San Jose is now, this is where I made the mistake. San Jose is now 10-6-3 with 23 points. And Nashville, of course, who leads the league, is now 13-4-1 with 27. I'm pretty sure they have the most points in the league. I'm looking over my other board. Right, yeah. And then Tampa with 25, and then Minnesota with 24, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're now tied with Toronto. Yeah, Toronto's tied for 3rd in the league. And anyways, tomorrow's games, or today, if you're watching this on the 14th, because this came out pretty late, St. Louis will play Chicago. Both these teams desperately need a win here. I think there's more pressure on St. Louis, especially Coach Mike Yeo, because they have the team to do it. They're built to do it, with the exception of the goaltending. So St. Louis needs to win this game, definitely. Washington versus Winnipeg. This could be the game of the night. I think this will be... I'm definitely going to be watching this game. It could be... Winnipeg has been rolling lately. Washington is coming off a 5-2 win over Minnesota. Wilson is back. This will be his second game. And the Jets also play a heavy game. So this is, a heavy and fast game. This will be great to watch. Boston versus Colorado. This is the battle of who's got the best top line of the league. Boston's, of course, I'm talking about Bergeron, Pasternak, and Marchand. And Colorado, I'm talking about Rantanen, McKinnon, and I always forget I know this. I just can't think of his name right now. And you're gonna tell me in the comments what his name is, because I'm drawing a blank. I did that in a video before as well. I'm gonna make sure I never forget that again. And of course, so yeah, that'll be interesting for that matter. I know Colorado's been on a bit of a slide lately. Boston has won its last 2 games with Halak in net, and Halak's been playing really well. Although Tuukka Rask is back from a leave of absence that he took for personal reasons, not health reasons. So it's a good chance he might play this game. And last game of the night I have here is Anaheim Ducks versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Both of these teams desperately need this win. Vegas has been a bit of a roller coaster team lately, but if they want to they also have a lot of injuries, especially down the middle. Their second and third line centers are injured in Stastny and Haula at the moment. So they're trying to put up some points until those guys can get back. Stay afloat. And of course, they did win their last game. They beat Nashville in their last game. They were the first ones to beat Nashville to break Nashville's on Nashville's record of no losses on the road. My English isn't coming out right now. Anaheim did that. Yeah. I want to say it was last night. But in any case, and if Randy Carlyle wants to save his job, I think he's one of the coaches on the hot seat as well. So in any case, this has been very long. I'm so sorry, but I'll wrap it up right here, right now. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on these games tonight, of the 13th games, and. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you know any hockey geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.